10 and only on CBS 13. It's a battle over backup. Firefighters feeling the heat as they respond to mental health emergencies. They claim something is missing. The sheriff's deputies they've grown to rely on. So why have they suddenly stopped showing up? We're getting answers. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Marley Ginter.
And I'm Tony Lopez. These delicate encounters are now the center of controversy. The change has to do with a federal court ruling that makes it easier to sue officers for excessive force. Your reporter covering Sacramento County, Madison Keevy, joining us in studio, getting answers tonight on this. Madison.
Well, right out of the gate, I want to start with the reporting. We reached out to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office to find out more about this policy, and the department's spokesperson told us the policy is still being formalized and they wouldn't speak until it was. The impacts, though, are felt by firefighters who tell us they're worried about being left without a law enforcement backup.
We have no mandate to respond to these types of calls.
The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office says it will no longer dispatch deputies to certain 911 calls following a recent federal court ruling. Those situations include someone experiencing a psychotic episode and those who are suicidal, even if they have a gun.
We're choosing to be very guarded about which incidents like this we do respond to.
Assistant Sheriff Matt Peterson outlined the policy change at a county commission meeting last week, saying the decision to respond or not will now be made by a 911 dispatcher and the watch commander.
This is really impacting our ability to deliver service.
Sacramento Metro Fire tells us the policy change creates a new danger for their crews.
We've had multiple incidents already that have put our folks in harm's way.
They rely on sheriff's deputies to make sure a scene is safe before making contact with a patient. And now, in some calls, they're worried that protection may no longer be there.
When it comes to life-threatening emergencies, seconds count, but we need that scene to be cleared. Our folks are not trained to manage violent people or weapons.
My reaction is, who's going to respond?
Elizabeth Hopper has called 911 for help more than a dozen times over the last decade when her adult daughter was having psychotic episodes.
So when we call, it is a last resort.
She's against the policy change, saying it leaves family members with few other options to get their loved one emergency psychiatric help.
We're determining in that moment, for what we know about our family member, that they are at a moment of risk. And we need a response.
The change comes after a decision by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals about qualified immunity. The ruling revoked officers' legal protection when they respond to calls like a mental health crisis where no crime is being committed.
Qualified immunity essentially creates a bubble around the police officers.
This legal expert explains the loss of immunity means individual officers can now be sued for excessive force.
The point of it is to try to hold police officers accountable.
The courts have made it very clear that really any use of force at all is questionable.
The Sheriff's Department wouldn't answer our questions on camera about the change, saying they're still being formalized. But a memo obtained by CBS 13 says the new policies are immediate.
It feels almost like a knee-jerk reaction response. It feels like we don't want to take a risk of a lawsuit.
Community members and firefighters now hoping lawmakers will step in.
We need help. We need either a legislative effort or the courts to make a decision.
The Sheriff's Office memo indicates it's working with the 988 mental crisis hotline to begin transferring these types of calls to them. The county also has a team of community wellness counselors that can respond, but only if there are no weapons involved. So something will continue to follow.
No doubt. These calls are so delicate on the surface, and now another layer. So no doubt we'll continue to follow and hopefully get some reaction to Sac County Sheriffs on this. Madison, thank you.